No, it's first of all the reference point disappeared because the nothing is a in that realization of nothing is real. All reference points disappear.
Okay.
Yet the nothingness itself becomes a new reference point, and this is the subtle identification.
Okay.
And I see it in other teachers. I see it in people going to the satsang. Suddenly they speak about, if they speak with you, well, what you're speaking, it's not real. But this is a concept. This is a reference point. Suddenly you put everything down.
Okay. Now, one thing that I found very interesting was that when I came to your meeting the other night in London, you started off, and you're very honest, by saying that afternoon you'd had a fight with your wife.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, well, I'm wondering why he's telling us this. And you're explaining it.
Yes.
Why don't you explain what happened? Not necessarily all the details of the fight, but the process for you and why you allow that happens.
Yes. And this is where, for me, the beauty of non-duality, the beauty of that realization suddenly becomes visible. So, if I would describe the functioning of my system today, I would make it very easy. Everything that a human experience includes, my system experiences too. All of it. Suffering, pain, happiness, success, destruction, all of it. So that the full human experience is still experienced because this body is still there. And the body experiences this. I couldn't get rid of this. The realization of your consciousness doesn't stop the body to experience life. That cannot be there. So the difference is, and that's how life unfolds also with my wife and in the struggle, that the moment an experience is experienced, the habit of trying to move away from that experience, which would be creating that sense of me, it's like a pushing it back. It's like you become the observer of it.
So if you move back, you feel yourself.
Now it creates an artificial sense of two, as you would become the observer of your experience.
Okay.
Here, watching an experience happening to you with a little gap. It feels like two.
Okay.
That's the beginning of duality. It feels like a sense of me being the observer of an external object, the observed, and they seem to be separate. But this is an artificial process internally generated by not wanting to have the experience that we're already having. Isn't it? So this moment is an experience to us. And according to how we relate to that experience, we're either experiencing ourselves as separate internally, becoming the observer of the experience, or that process of not getting away from the experience stops, and you're experiencing the experience fully, consciously, without any attempt to split yourself off. That means the full capacity of that experience can have access to you, can live itself through you, and you're not separating yourself from it.
Okay, so my question there is, what about intelligence, awareness, insofar as you're having a fight with your wife? Mm-hmm. It's, I don't know the details, obviously, it's not my business, but it's probably a fight you've had many times, a similar issue.
Always the same.
So why is that still running when you're intelligent human being on one level, you've done all this psychological work, you understand the dynamics, why is it still happening?
Fantastic. This is where the real integration begins. So in those years of bringing the quality of being consciousness, it's a quality, it's a realization, it's a reality, it's the reality, to bring this down into the body, which I call consciousness embodied. What happens is that in that journey from consciousness into the body, consciousness starts to meet the different layers of human experience again. So first you see that how thinking functions. You start to re-explore the process of thinking. Then consciousness drops deeper into the body. You start to re-experiencing the range of human emotions. Fully. They're not gone. They're still there. And now this is where mostly the process stops. Because when the journey starts to go even deeper, what is happening is that we're starting to experience levels in our nervous system, in our physical body, that activate, that are creating a different reality constantly. That means the cells have their own memory. And this is deeply rooted with our physics. So we can literally feel it. So every time, for example, you contract, like habitually, like a little shock,
Yes.
what is actually happening is that the body remembers that experience. And you may have tried that, trying to control it with your thinking or with changing your feelings, and even noticing that your consciousness doesn't affect that level in the body. The body doesn't care about this. And I realized about 3 years ago that obviously there are two different realities playing out. The conscious reality of knowing who I am, being conscious of the thinking, of the feeling. None of this is real. Knowing that the body is not real, but still the body once in a while running on its own memory. It activates a cellular memory and you start to have experiences, physical experience that actually feel quite real. And many people do not meet this because it's so unfamiliar for us to be in the body, to meet the sensation of the body because it feels like a prison.
So when it's all running,
Yes.
what is the process of you? Is there something going on in your mind?
No, absolutely not. So the mind
So
is just...
it's like an automatic program that runs, and I presume over time it runs less or runs less
Yes.
strongly.
Okay, so what I notice
It
is...
dissipates over
Yes.
time.
So what is totally clear, that the programs that we're running on are mainly cellular memories that are activated. And those cellular memories are pushing energy upwards. So when the body contracts, anytime you contract, a cellular memory is activated, where the body protects itself. It moves from ease to a kind of shock reaction. And what happens in the physics when you explore this is that in the moment the body contracts, it pumps up energy upwards and generates feelings, and suddenly you find yourself in the head, the thinking. But it literally starts in the body. Many people think it starts in the mind. No, the mind is the very last, it's the tip of the iceberg of a reaction that is mostly physical.
Okay.
And that was astonishing to me. Because I started in that journey of consciousness, and when I speak about me, it's consciousness. In the journey of consciousness dropping into the body, those layers became conscious, and I was never conscious of them.